Tallboys and Trackmasters is brought to you by Expert Exhaust. Expect more for your money. MTB Shock Dock, your choice for suspension needs. High Gear Success. From helping racers get sponsored to motorsports event operation and promotion, shift your passion into high gear. Miracle Works Detailing. No cars too dirty. And by Cycle Mart, your motorcycle parts store.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 61 of Tallboys
and Trackmasters.
Little different brew tonight. Sierra Nevada Summerfest, limited time.
Yep,
it's pretty good stuff. How was your extended 2-week vacation there, Trent?
A lot going on. We put in some private property work on the Wolfhaven Tree Farm Loop, and I got an opportunity to go put some laps around that, and everybody's in for a great time.
Yeah.
I highly recommend that if you end up doing the FDSR hard loop, that you do every private property section that you can, because that's where most of the blood, sweat, and tears goes into.
You got that right, buddy.
So, we definitely got something special with it this year.
Yeah, I think it was funny. We switched the direction there, and the whole time we were walking it, laying it out, you're like, oh man, this seems like it flows better.
Flowy.
It's not as hard as it usually is.
We made it a little easier, and then you go ride it, and it's just not the case
hard
at all.
It still sucks. So yeah, we're looking forward to that coming up very soon, man. Less than 20 days. So
yep.
Awesome. Well, got a very special guest tonight. We're excited about. Got Andrew on the show tonight. He is for trail ride. He helps do the Shenandoah 500 and lots of other great events. So we're excited to have him tonight. Without further ado, let's bring him on. How you doing, man? You there? There you go. All boys difficult.
Yeah, that's the tagline.
Well, thanks for coming on tonight, buddy. We appreciate it.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Anytime. So let's get started with your background a little bit before we dive into a lot of other stuff. So, where were you born and raised at, and where do you call home now?
Well, Western New York, up in Rochester. We lived up on Lake Ontario. So basically, I started riding snowmobiles. It was snow all the time. Now we call Virginia home. We're over in Huntley, Flint Hill area, Rappahannock County. It's out in the mountains. Been down in Virginia for 40 years. But yeah, everything up there started with snow, ice, a lot of winter carnivals, things like that. Motorcycles, not so much. Dad wasn't into motorcycles, bikes. He liked racing snowmobiles. So we did that. Then when I came down to Virginia, I bought a YZ 490, like a fool, like an 82. Right?
My dad has an 82 490. So.
I've heard some stories about this, buddy.
Yeah. Whew. And the reason I bought it, as I was like 20 years old, the guy across the street was an airline pilot. He was like 25. He was into enduros, hare scrambles, and he said, "Get a bike and I'll take you riding." So I said, "Oh, I'd love to do that." Bought a bike, went and raced Summit Point hare scramble, like the first ride I did. And just like, hey, this is a lot of fun, but wrong bike. Then end up getting married. 86 started racing 3-wheelers, which felt closer to home.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Yep. Raced, like Brewston Mills in those races. Blew it up right before Blackwater. Didn't get to do that. Then had a kid, 86, so had to pretty much stop all of that.
Yeah.
And then really didn't start riding until I was about 40, actually in like 2000. When my son really got into it heavy, he went to the VCHSS Hare Scrambles.
Yep.
We joined NVTR, which is Washington Area Trail Riders.
Yep.
Did the Hare Scramble thing. And then when he turned 16, I told him, let's try enduros because it's, more time. You don't have to travel, 3 hours, 4 hours to ride, 2 hours. We can do that travel and ride all day. So we did that. Foggy Mountain was our first enduro in 2004. And then it just went nuts from there. By 2008, he was racing, 6 days in Chile and Greece, racing on the junior team. I was stuck in the double A rows all the time. So I either got faster or I got run over. Got run over a few times. So, so other than that, that's kind of how it all started. Got into this club, NVTR, great club. Started 1971. The original president was Rod White Sr. His son, Rod White Jr. I've raced with him. Doug McCabe Sr. Was the back then they had, I guess, like president, secretary, referee. I ride with Doug all the time, his son. So great club, a lot of history, a lot of father sons, a lot of people that stayed in the club a long time.
Yeah, so it's lots of family involvement then in the club. Then
basically, yeah, that was one of the reasons I more or less got into it with my son. Was I knew where he was all the time.
Right.
He was right. He was working on bikes, or he was racing. Or we were traveling to go race. So
that's
good family sport.
Yeah, that's one thing that I can definitely thank my dad for, because I had such a horrible motorcycle addiction of racing and having bikes all the time. I didn't have any money for anything else.
You didn't have the time or the money to get on drugs or anything like that.
Nothing like that. So
right.
Yeah, sometimes I think it may have been cheaper. Yeah, exactly. We hear that all the time.
It might have been not as hard on your body.
Yeah. Well, maybe depending on what your choice is there. Andy, what's your current stable of bikes right now?
I've got two 950 Super Enduros.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Bought one, had to have a second one in case something happened to the first one.
Yep.
Yeah. After I rode one. XR 650R in 07, 03 CR 250, a 15 XC 250 KTM.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm down to. Just sold a Harley Softail, got rid of a TM. Looking to buy a 450, maybe 4-stroke, either a Yamaha, the WRF, or maybe go back to a TM, like maybe a TM 450, something like that.
Those are interesting bikes.
They're great bikes. Actually, the guy's a CR nut, apparently, that started that company. So it's basically like riding a CR 250.
Yeah, I got to ride a 250. I think it was an 04 250 2-stroke. Man, that thing was an absolute ripper.
They just put out some kind of anniversary edition. It's got retro graphics and it looks really sweet.
Yeah, I did see that there the other day.
Yeah.
Those are cool bikes.
Well, they're handmade, Italian bikes, and just most of the parts are. I mean, some obviously, like the KYB forks and obviously the rims, things like that. But all the rest of the bike is, just made. And really, when you look at the fit and finish on the bike, a really, really nice bike. And I had no problems. I wanted to try a 4-stroke, so I bought a 300 ENFI.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. It was light, and I figured, at 64, I'll just kill myself on that thing. So maybe we'll get rid of that one and do something different.
Yeah.
But I'd like to try the 302 stroke. So I'm kind of tossed on which one to go with. But that's kind of where I'm at right now with bikes.
Cool. Yeah, we're a sucker for unique, oddball, or boutique brands here on the channel. So
anything, especially like weird vintage technology, like they were trying to figure out leading link suspension at one point, and all the oddities that came about before they finally figured out the formula, that everybody's following now.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, real quick, Andy, we got a segment we do on this show called the 6-pack. So we'll run through this real quick and just kind of a rapid fire question session. So here we go. All right, here we go. First one. Favorite trail tunes. What do you like to listen to while you're out riding?
Anywhere from Dave Matthews, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, right in through there somewhere. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next up, Trevor.
Dream bike.
Dirt or road? I'm not a big road guy.
You do either.
Actually, I like my 950 Super Enduro. I don't think you can beat the bike. I know everybody likes these new
those
ones.
are fanatics about them, and that was a really crazy special period of time that allowed that bike to get designed and built, and it's something that probably won't ever come back around again.
Well, the reason I bought the bike, I mean, if you want to hear the story behind that, it's kind of we were out pre-running the Shenandoah 500. We leave from a firehouse at Clover Hill. We run out 33 into Brandywine. We ran most of the trails, rough run, Second Mountain, popped out through Dictum Ridge, rough stuff. I was in Long Mountain, and it was really rough back then. And I'm on 650R. A friend of mine's on a KTM 500, I believe it was, and he brought a buddy along. I didn't know what bike this guy was riding. I never paid attention to him all day. He wasn't a real tall guy. His name is Bob Converse, mountain bike guy, tough guy. So we rode all day long. We're running through all these rocks. I'd lose him here and there. Straightaways, he'd catch me. And I think, how's this guy catching me? I'm going pretty fast on the 650, and I usually don't hold back. So we started running all this stuff all day long. So on the way back, we get back to the fire hall, and I looked at Chris and his buddy, and I said, where's Bob? Oh, he's coming. He went down in the rocks. Oh, why didn't you say something? We would help him. He didn't need help. Okay. So we get back, and I'm looking at the bike. I said, what is that? He said, that's a 950. I said, are you kidding me? He goes, I thought it was like a 690 or something. He goes, no, it's a 950 Super Enduro. And I thought, you got to be kidding me. You've been riding that thing all day like that? So that night I went home and I looked it up, and I found one in Texas, and I had it Wednesday. So
Nice.
One. So yeah, once I got on it, it was I needed to get another one. So I found an Erzberg, 07 Erzberg with like 3,000 newtons on it. Which
That's a pretty short range of years they even produced those.
Yeah, I think maybe 07 to 10, something like that.
Yep.
So, but that's kind of, I guess, would be my dream bike. Sorry it took so long for the quick one.
That's great. Great stuff, man.
We appreciate a story.
Yeah, our buddy in our club, Dan Farnsworth, has one.
Yeah,
I've got to throw a leg over it a few times. It's an absolute ripper. I love it.
I need to try that thing out.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. All right, next up, what's your favorite terrain to ride in?
Rocks, steep, single track.
I get that. That's
Nice.
about the same for me too.
Yeah.
Good deal. Next up,
Best trail snack.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, fig Newtons.
Classic. Yeah.
last up. You only do 2 mods to a bike. What would they be?
Probably try to jet it right, and suspension.
Yeah, fueling suspension. That's good. Good stuff. All right, that's the 6-pack, man. Thank you for doing that. Let's transition now over to Washington area trail riders. How did that come about? What's the structure of the club, and who are the key guys behind the scenes there?
Okay, well, it all started with NBTR, 1971. We had Rod White, Doug McCabe. These are both seniors, and let me put these on because I took notes for this one. All right, and Steve Goodall. Okay, that was president, secretary, referee. Actually, their sons are still in the club. I actually ride with Doug McCabe Jr. We ride ahead of a 100-mile horse ride, do a lot of dual sports, race enduros together. Doug's a good guy, so it's a family thing. Then 1972, Don Kirkpatrick joined. Don is probably late 70s, still in the club, still heavily involved, was trailmaster, president, vice president. Don's the one that showed me basically the forest, everything about the mountains in Virginia. You could drop Don somewhere blindfolded, spin him around 100 times, and he'd tell you exactly where he was and exactly how to get out of there. It's amazing to ride with this guy. Cool. So, like I said, it all started in 1971. Then they had the cast of people that joined in. Joe Epperson, longtime club member, good guy, laid out a lot of the enduro stuff for GMER, which is a subsidiary club of Washington Trail Riders, NBTR. It's the enduro side. You have to have like a sponsor club, I guess, through the AMA. That's how you get points to move up in rank, and it
Right.
goes like that. So we worked when we came in 2004. These are the people that I had met: Don, and Don's son Rob, the Kirkpatricks, heavily involved, Joe Epperson, Rod White, and that group, Dave Blodgett. They were like president and whatnot. Well, back in the day, they had Kathy Campbell join. This is in like 1976 or 7. If anybody ever raced enduros or anywhere in the Northeast, they know Kathy Campbell. There's actually a movie about this lady, the Kathy Campbell story, and you should watch it. It's amazing. She's not a big lady, blonde, very nice. Her partner, Wolfie, big German guy, was her pit guy. She ran the corduroy in Canada, and completed it, which is a tough enduro.
Yeah.
She beat most everybody that we've ever talked to. When you mentioned Kathy Campbell, they just kind of shook their head and went, "Oh my God, this lady was unbelievable." So we had Kathy in the club, who still to this day I sweep ride with Kathy up until about a year ago.
Cool.
Still riding like a KDX 200 that's smoking away, and starts at once a year to go riding, to sweep the Dualsport. So like I said, great lady, still involved in the club. So anyways, we do that. We have the Shenandoah, as you know. We also have Eagle Bay, which is a property that we lease out with the Hunt Club. We share it. There's about a 14-mile loop, and then there's a 2.5 mile easier side loop. Down there, that's club property. Basically, we do a spring fall trail ride. Years ago, we did the VCH SS race for the Race for Vision. I guess it was sponsored then. But the problem with that was you put 200-300 people out there on that trail, and it would rain a couple of days before that.
Yeah.
There's everything. So that kind of was hard to do. But all those proceeds would go to like the Lions Club, the Optimist Club, because we're a nonprofit club. So basically, we give back. So now we do the spring and fall trail rides, which is a great time. Come down with the kids, the family, camp out, or really, I don't think they're allowing camping now. There's homes being built in this subdivision.
Yeah.
So you know how that goes. And it's right on the Potomac River, but it is a nice venue, and come down and just have a day of good riding, nice trails. Everything is cleaned up and neat. So, face lappers are going and all that.
Yeah.
So that's a good time. And all those proceeds, again, go to like the Optimist for their scholarships for kids and whatnot. Because it's just a good, all in all thing for the club that we do. And then we obviously go on to, we help with the GMER with the Enduro, which is coming up. The 3 Springs. That's a great Enduro. Fun time. All that proceeds, they help like build a community pool, the community centers up there in PA. So that's another good thing for the community. They love the club. They've brought a lot of business into the town, and it's helped the town. And everybody likes the people there, and it works well. It works really well. This club actually back in the 70s had a hare scramble down at Fort AP Hill at the Army base. So back, I guess, in the 70s when you could do things like that.
Yeah.
So that stuff's kind of done. So like I said, that's pretty much, what we do at the club. We also we're big with the Forestry Service. We promote Tasker's Gap, Peters Mill riding area, which is what we have over here. A lot of Jeep side-by-sides, whatnot, Peters Mill, and then Tasker. So we work with the Rangers. We maintain the trails, cut the trees, face lappers, redo the blazing. We work with a Jeep club that comes out. John and them from the Jeep are a great bunch of guys. Usually get 30, 40 people. Get about 20 Jeepers, 20 guys out there in March while they close down for the month and let everything repair. So been involved in that with a president from probably about 20 years ago or so. He got us involved with their grants, which helps the Forest Service. We donate time, volunteer time. They get money for that, which this is another good thing. So that, we kind of give back that way too, because most people think motorcycle clubs, dirt bike guys, they're just there to ride and take. We're really not. We give back a lot. Shenandoah 500. We give so much to the South Fork Volunteer Fire Department, with the meals. We do their lunches Saturday there, and Riverside Methodist, we use those people for the lunch on Sunday.
Yeah.
Basically pay for that. Then we tip them pretty good. And
Yeah.
then we go back with a food drive around Thanksgiving and donate another on average $1,500 to each group for food for the community. And they literally go out and shop for these people because they know everybody, and what they want. And it's good. And, they accept us, really well. Bear hunters don't care for us because we're always there before the bear season. But
it's the same thing in our state too.
Yeah.
It's really impressive to have the enduro guys, Jeep guys on the same page with the forestry service. It's something that James and I have talked about in the past, is the need to get everybody on the same page for like land use issues and, various things like that.
Yeah, we try to do that with the Country Roads Coalition, and we have made a lot of progress and headway here in West Virginia, because at the end of the day, we're all using these same areas for the same kind of recreation, basically. So there's no need for everybody to kind of go their own way when you can just kind of pow together and fight the good fight together. You got more strength in numbers. It's really awesome to hear just how much you guys give back to everyone involved with it, the Washington area trail riders. I'm curious about the partnership with the Forestry Service and how that works, because that's got to be that's really cool to see. Like you mentioned before, you guys, in the eyes of a lot of people, are the enemy of the of recreation in the forest, but you guys are partnered with them to help maintain trails and stuff.
Yeah, well, it's a good system. Like we stayed involved with them pretty heavily with the Ranger district in Edinburgh. Then they have the North River district, which is the one we have to deal with for Shenandoah 500.
Yeah,
and we have been dealing with the same people for pretty much 20 years. So, they know what we do. Anything they ask us to do, we cover. It helps us. It helps them because they're short-staffed. So if they need, trees come down somewhere, they'll call us. We'll go cut them for them. They'll give us a pass to get out wherever we have to go, take care of it for them. And so that works really well. Dave started that, like I said, with Taskers, Peters Mill, the grant thing. And actually Don Kirkpatrick, excuse me, Don Kirkpatrick back in, must have been maybe the 90s when Porsche was developing their 4-wheel drive. Was it the Cayman or whatever those it was?
Yeah.
They actually came to John and they ran them through, or to Dave and Don Kirkpatrick, and they ran through Peters Mill and Tasker's Gap with those things. And they had Don lead them through there because they were trying to see how much they could beat him up, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really cool story.
Cool. So it was a good story from those guys. I was looking at that, you ran those things through here, and they were like, "Oh yeah." He said they wanted rough as they could get, so we took them through here. It's like, but back then there was a little more dirt too. So these gully washers have kind of messed us up over here with the rocks. But
it's happening year over year here too. There's just more and more erosion. Trails that used to be mostly dirt with some rocks have turned into pretty much just rock shelves, bowling ball sized rock, and it makes it more interesting if that's the terrain that you like.
I'm not complaining because that's my favorite stuff.
I'm not either. I like the challenge.
I don't.
Keeps people off of them.
One thing I don't think people realize just how many incredible trails and tough sections there really are over in like the George Washington National Forest over in your area. There's a lot of really cool stuff. I know, one of my favorite all time on the entire Eastern Seaboard that I've ever ran is the Rocky Run ATV Trail, which is the AA option a lot of times on the Shenandoah 500. We've all ran it before. It's a blast for hardcore guys. We love it.
And that's a type of terrain and a type of forest road that we really don't have here. The bulk of our publicly accessible forest roads here consist of like groomed gravel. And be fine for an adventure bike or something like that, or if you're going meadow camping. But as far as getting out and doing enduro type terrain, we pretty much rely on like unimproved county roads and similar that are local to us.
Right. Yeah. They're shutting them down too, though. A lot of stuff out here, even on our ride in the Shenandoah 500, Telegraph Road and whatnot, where they came in with the high tension lines. German River, which was a rough road, it's like a highway. Get everything through there.
I've got that down to go over here very shortly because we recently took a trip down there last year about that time and was running some of that stuff. And I was like, what happened?
killed one of my favorite sections going up through there.
Yeah.
So it was unfortunate to see.
So, Andy, you guys, obviously, you said earlier, you do the spring and the fall trail ride, you do the Shenandoah 500. I know that you also help volunteer for a lot of other dual sport events. When we were talking before we were getting ready to do the show, a couple weeks back, you were out helping with the Mishaw Dualsport Ride. So, what are some of the other events that you like to give a hand at?
Well, I'm in DVTR as well, Delville Trail Riders. So I went up with the Michaud. We helped mark it out. Then we were marshaling it and running the sweep on a couple of sections. Good club, DVTR, a bunch of great guys, great girls. Really hardcore, good riders. Everybody likes to the camaraderie, the good people. I really enjoyed going up there with them. Now we got Foggy Mountain coming up. So we're going to be, going up doing Foggy Mountain pretty soon for the layout. They just did the cleaning up last weekend, with the cutting and whatnot for the final. And up there, with the DCNR, they have to go back, remediate the trails. So basically it has to look like it did when you started. So a big group of people go back out, the following these rides and fix all this stuff.
That's incredible.
So that's dedication. When you're out there trudging around, you're moving rocks, right? You're moving dirt, you're moving everything back in. So it looks like you've been there. And you just let, 250 motorcycles go through there. So yeah, it's good. And it's really good that club took over for the club that gave it up. I heard it was going to lean more towards like some ADV stuff or whatever, whoever's going to take it over. I don't know what the deal was. But they ended up getting it and turning it into quite a good ride. I mean, you can't help the dust, you can't help the weather, but great ride. So we do that. We do Foggy. Our Enduro club actually was up in CJCR, Pine Hill Enduro up in Jersey, the Agonis guys. They were big 6-day guys, so they were kind of there for my son when he was in Greece and Chile. So we go up and help out with Pine Hill. Do some stuff in Florida, down at Devil's Creek with those guys. Swampy and those guys down there, Dixie Dualsport, does some really good cross Florida stuff. Like I said, he gets his name from where he rides you. I tell you, you go through some stuff, it's like you just can't believe where you're riding. You just have to look for the ribbon. I mean, if you're an enduro guy, where you watch ribbons, and a lot of people think it's nice on the left. Worst spot to be. You look for this little orange tag and just follow the tag. And it could look like you're going through a lake, but it's actually, you could be on a ridge. So this guy, he's really good. Really nice guy. So I like helping those guys. And other than that, the Old Dominion. That's our big people. The Old Dominion endurance ride. These horse people. We do a 1,500 mile ride for them, where we actually clean the whole trail, which is hiking trail, forest trail that we have to go out and clean. A lot of stuff's decommissioned. So the trees have been down. I just got a call the other day. There's 15 trees down on a section that for a ride that's coming in a couple months. So we help out that way too, to go out and clean and do all that with the horse people, which they're great people too. They're really nice. They'll come out, as far as they can go on a horse, but you can only go so far. And with the Rangers as well. I mean, those guys, you need a swamper, you have the cutter. So you're out there for a 5-mile hike, maybe, to cut a tree, and then you got to hike back. So there's your day. Send us on a bike. We know we can be out there and cut it and get back out of there. We had to take the forestry class, to cut, which was good. So a bunch of us did that. Met some good people. Actually got along with some hiking people even. They found out we were, out on the trails, which that was uncommon. They first looked at us and said, "Are you going to run us over again when you see us?" Because a lot of people poach these hiking trails and shouldn't be there, and that's a problem. So, and we asked the guy, and the guy I was with has this big, long red beard. And I said, "Did you see a big beard hanging out of the helmet that the guy was ran you over?" "Well, no." I said, "Well, then I don't think it was us." But by the end of the day, everybody was friends, and they understood that, hey, we run maybe a 60-mile loop in a day that we can clean the entire thing. And it saves a lot of time, saves a lot of effort. And a lot of people, you have to climb over these trees and you have to, if you slide down a hill, you can get hurt way out there. So they appreciate the fact that you actually go out there and try to maintain the trail system.
Well, it's great to break the stigma.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you guys, that's incredible to have that many different groups, using the same recreation, all getting along, all fighting the good fight to keep everything open and clean. That's fantastic. It's good to hear. Annie, what do you see in today's day and age? Maybe what some of the struggles might be for a big off-road club? Is it, maintaining the current membership, or having people more active in this day and age, or is it, you see anything like that?
Well, yeah, the membership in our area is kind of transient, though. We have a lot of military, a lot of guys coming in, coming out. It's not actually a guy I started riding with and his wife. Really tough. He went and did a few hard enduros. He's really into this. Probably early 30s. They work, I believe, State Department, somewhere like that. But he's going into a master's program, and he has to go to Alabama for like a year and a half. And guy's great to ride with. So it's things like that. They get into the club, they have to go. They'll be back. And we're losing another guy, has to go, I believe, like Italy. He's being transferred over there for another year. And he's in somewhere of the leadership in the club. So other than that, we get a lot of members because of Eagle Bay. Most people go there to ride. We don't get so much out in the forest out here. It takes kind of like you guys, you like nasty, gnarly stuff. Not many people do. I think Lisa and Rob Elkamoff.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Big
Well,
buddies of yours,
Yep. Great people. Lisa's unbelievable. Great. They're riding KX450s, right? We're up there in gnarly stuff. And we, every time I get a chance to call them to come with us and to come in this stuff. And I mean, I've had Rob leaning up against, it's so steep, he's leaning into a tree, to get up the side. And they're just loving it, and they're, all right, can we get to the top? It's like, no, we got to stop because the horses are coming, and we're on private property and doing this stuff. But great riders, real good people, real good.
Yeah, I got a good memory of Rob passed me on Mark's Loop, I think last year. It's that section. We're going down it now, but we're trying to go up it. There's a tree root like halfway up, it's diagonal. It kicks your back tire out. You lose momentum, lose traction. I tried it 3 or 4 times and, got my bike back down to the bottom. I just heard that 450 coming around the trail and he just pops right up it like it's not even there. Of course, it frustrated me at the time. It's like, man, I wish I could ride like that.
Yeah. But they're great people. We definitely claim them as West Virginia residents now because they moved outside of Romney. I remember it was so interesting when they came and did our first 304 detour we did. Were asking us, how long it took to get all the permits to be able to do what we were doing, and we're like dumbfounded, like, what are you talking about permits? Like, we literally just threw this together and nobody cares, And I know that was probably a good part of the reason why they moved where they did. So great people.
Very strict over on that side of the country. But but other than that, like I said, the members in our club, a lot of them are family. It's just fathers and sons, fathers and daughters. I'd say the majority really is. We have a lot of family out of the, I believe it's 150 limit that we have. I'd say probably at least 75, percent or half and half. I'd say family to just an individual. So it's good to bring your friend.
Yeah, it's great for it to be a generational thing. We talk pretty often about our concerns about this hobby aging out. There's a lot of barriers to entry for younger people to get involved in this now, be it cost, time, etc. So to have, dads pass it down to their sons, it's really helps to keep things moving. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And daughters as well. It's amazing. I've got 2 grandsons and a granddaughter, and I'm looking at the granddaughter thinking she's probably going to be the best out of all of them. So it's just one of those things, but no, it's great. Yeah. I think it's just really good to see, what your kid's doing. It gives them just something to do, something to look forward to. It keeps them straight. I mean, it's just, what more can you say? It's a good way to spend the time, and they're tired when they're done.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have a hobby that it's fun, but you can consistently challenge yourself to get better at it.
Yes.
It's really rewarding.
Yes, it is.
It is. It's a good time.
Let's jump over into the big daddy here, the Shenandoah 500. So I know just from personal experience, I got a late start into dual sport adventure riding. Was a hare scramble GNCC racer my whole life. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And the old man kept telling me to come and dual sport ride with him and his buddies. I'm like, that sounds boring. I don't want to do that. I was hooked instantly when I finally did take him up on it. But the Shenandoah 500 in 2019 was my first ever big event that I ever tried to go do, an AMA sanctioned event. And, coming in as a new guy to that, it was absolutely amazing to have that as my first experience doing a big event. And the just everything, the way that the campground was, the way that the route was laid out, the lunches, the food, the prizes, everything was just awesome. And I want to tell you that from that experience is what really brought back to us here in Fairmont Dualsport Riders to want to try to put on our own event as well. And I really don't think we knew how much work goes into putting on some kind of giant event like that. And we were kind of humbled the first year, but I'd love to hear some of the history behind how the Shenandoah 500 got started, and we'll kind of continue from there.
Yeah, well, apparently, like I said, I came in around 2004, and it was out in Mount Solon at that time. Before that, I believe they ran it maybe even down towards Fredericksburg, AP Hill. It might have ran there before, but I know it ran through Fort Valley, that area. So, it's moved around a couple of times, and usually it's all due to land issues. You start losing trail, they decommission trail.
Yeah.
There's some great stuff over in the Fort Valley area, but then they start paving roads. And the same thing has happened out in Mount Solon.
Progress takes its toll. We know what that's about.
Yeah. And I mean, we're in the middle of the forest though, and they're dumping, they're paving roads, probably due to the cost of keeping a road up. But when I first went there in 2004 through about 2000, maybe 7 or 8, that first section, when you leave the campground, is pavement out for 4 or 5 miles, and you jump into the forest to the left.
Yeah.
Once you went through those curves, it turned into dirt all the way down, and from there it was all dirt. Now it's paved all the way down to the bottom, which is miles. So I thought that was kind of strange because that was a really fun section. It was rough, it was gnarly, it was chewed up. Those sections were fun. Now they grade the roads out, which usually not too bad. But since they were over there doing all that power line work, like German River, Telegraph Road, Gauley Ridge, it was closed the last time I went, other than we caught that section through German River, Telegraph, and out through Gauley. We ended up going out that way. I don't know how Long Mountain is, or up to Hall Springs. So we got to go check that out because that was all closed as well. So it might be another highway. We're just hoping for some gully washers because it had to be $1 million in gravel that they dumped up in there. So so who knows? We'll see what it's going to bring this year. But we tried to do the best we could with the routes. We knew some county roads on the other side. We went and talked to the state police. And like I said, I don't know, over here, we try to keep everything above board. We let the ranger know. I go to all the fire departments. I go to all the police departments. I talk to the county guys, so they know exactly where we are, why there's 400 dirt bikes out on their county roads.
Yeah, we do the same thing because if you don't let them know, then it's, you got thousands of residents, calling in like, oh, there's a bunch of dirt bikes on the street. What's going on?
The hooligans are at it again.
Yes. Yeah. It's all the kids are out, but I know. So, we do all that stuff. We, like I said, we have a couple counties that are basically our main, like Rockingham is a really big county for us out there, which goes in Harrisonburg. So I actually go in and talk to the Harrisonburg police, which they've helped me a few times because we've had some high rate homeowners on a couple of those roads. And we give them times that we're going to be there. And they said, if you have a problem, call, and we'll be right there. So it's been good. Like I said, bear hunters, not fans of us because always our ride is the first full weekend of October, which that Saturday is bear hunting. But the answer to that, and we had a confrontation one time with a guy and a conservation officer by the Mennonite church at the bottom of Long Mountain. And the guy said something to me, and I'd had enough of all of them. And I said, listen, we donate so much food out here, so much money out here to South Fork, to Donna Baker over at the Riverside Methodist. I said, I'm sure somewhere along the line, someone in your family ate this food that we donated. I'm positive of that. And one of the guys that was there that was really nasty in the beginning stopped and said, oh, you are the guys that do that? My grandparents eat that from Nyla Bland over in Brandywine.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. I said, I didn't mean to sound bad about all of that. I said, but this is what we do. And if you don't want us here, I said, what do you guys do for them? You feed them bear meat? I mean, I don't know. So that kind of settled the whole thing down a little bit. Well, after that, we didn't really have too many problems. And it just kind of irks you when you really think about it, that there's so many people out there that really need help. And that even the people in the community, they're family members. I mean, maybe they can't help them, but a lot of people can, and they just won't do it. So that's where we come in. If we can shell out another $3-4 grand each side, it really helps.
Yeah, it was going to be my next point because I know you guys have such a huge impact on all those local communities down there, and it's really inspiring, and encouraging to see that. And I know just from that being my first event that I ever did, you're sitting there wondering like, what? Okay, we got a lunch stop here. We're going in the volunteer fire department. All right,
Yep.
then that's different, But once you know the background information there, it's really awesome to see. And I know on Sunday's ride we stopped for lunch at it was an elementary school, and I thought I was going back into like sixth or seventh grade again, walking in, getting the tray, and walking through the line. That was pretty cool.
Right.
Your little carton of milk.
Yeah, I've got a carton of milk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And you really notice it when you go in the bathrooms too, because they're you got to bend over just to wash your hands. It's like, yeah, I forgot about this. But no, that's great. That's the community center now. Donna Baker handles all of that, and actually out there, same deal. We pay for our meals. We tip them. We usually try to throw 15% on it right there, and then once Thanksgiving comes, we send them another donation check for food. It goes into their food bank. Out there one year, and it was right around I think the year we had the sequester, or it was the year that we were canceled for flooding. Maybe it was the floods or something. Anyways, all the food was already bought, and our club still pays for the food. It's like, hey, here's the food. Donate it to your food banks. Give it to the people out in the community. Nothing we can do with it, and we asked you to buy it because once you get close. Brandywine, Nyla had to order the chickens about 3 weeks out, and to feed 450 people, she has to buy boxes of chicken. Donna would also get all her food. Well, they had a plane crash, and firemen, rescue, were out there looking for these people in the plane, and I got a phone call, and she said, "Would you mind if we fed these people this food, of yours?" That you all bought, and we were already done. We were like, no, why would we mind? She goes, well, we could have froze it for next year or whatnot. We were like, no, just give it to them. So, it's things like that our club does. And, nobody's looking for a handout from us. Nobody's looking for anything. Just try to support where we ride. Let that community, just let them know what we do is what we try to do. And most of the people out there know because of the local people that we deal with. Most people are really, really gracious that we're out there. Get a lot of letters, cards around Thanksgiving, Christmas time, thanking us for the donations and whatnot, which, goes a long way. So people in DC area, when we get this stuff, they take it to the meetings and they can see what we do. So makes them feel good, which really helps everybody.
That area itself, we've seen it firsthand. As many times we've been down that way. It's such a melting pot of different types of people. It seems like you have, the touristy people from DC wanting to see some scenery stuff, lots of farmers and lots of, people that are down on their luck down there. So it's definitely a very interesting blend of cultures down there.
Anytime you're around the Appalachians, you pretty much bet the farm there's people who are down on their luck.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Some of the stuff you go by a few times, actually, I've wanted to just stop and take the horse. Something to say, donate some money. There's still one spot and we ride by it. We did last year. It's a spot right through there that we have to actually open a gate to go through the guy's cow pasture. And right before that, there's a spot that coming out of Franklin. And I don't know. I've thought about this horse all winter long, and I think, I should stop. If it's there this year, I think I'm going to stop.
I know exactly the spot you're talking about there. That was my first experience doing an event, happened to open gates too down there. So that was something
interesting. But we did a ride down in the southern part of the state, the coal fields, and some of the areas we rode through is pretty humbling in terms of how little opportunity there is in some areas of the state.
Well, true. And that's the thing with dirt bikes too. I mean, my biggest thing is if you can take in minimum, these things are 10 grand, minimum, and you get bigger bikes, you're up to 20 or even beyond. You pull up in a $80,000 diesel or dually, you got a $50,000 to $100,000 toy hauler. And these guys aren't saying anything. We have donation pots, and the sort of the ladies at the fire hall. And I mean, everybody's throwing in money to the donations and things like that. So, people realize that, people that are they actually don't mind donating. I've seen in the motorcycle community, not so much in other things, but with the guys on motorcycles, dirt bikes, they tend to stop if kids are selling water along the road. It's a buck of water, we throw $10 down for a couple waters, and it's if you can do it, why not do it? It really
We feature a lemonade stand on our loop. James can go into some more detail.
Yeah, Brian Gribble's daughter. I was approached by him, and he was saying that you guys. He said, "I ride. My family rides. You guys come right by our house every year when you do your ride." And he said, "My daughter was curious if she'd be allowed to do a lemonade stand, so we can have some snacks and all that kind of stuff. Just raise some money to help her go to college." And I'm like, "Absolutely, that'd be fantastic." Because where they're at is right after one of the worst hard single track sections we have. So I'm like, these
right
guys are
after the
definitely,
beatdown.
they'll definitely be looking for something, I'm sure. So the first year we did it, I come around and he's got a nice little piece of property, lots of big pine trees on the edge of the driveway. So there's lots of shade there. So I come through sweep riding, and half the rides, the guys are just laying there. They're just completely exhausted, done. And I see the money jar on top of her little table, and it's just overflowing. I'm like, that's fantastic. I love that. So
it's great.
It's good to see. Yeah, motorcycle guys definitely do seem to give a little more than other groups, it seems.
Yeah, there's a couple good rides too up in New York where they do that, up in Hancock. So that's a good ride if you can get up there too. It's usually the first weekend in August. But that's another one. It's kind of an oppressed area, and little kids are out there setting up stuff. And usually it's the same way. Everybody, if you got money, you just throw it down on the table, and it's just go on. And actually up there, I know a couple of the guys that I think they actually even went and bought the cases of water for the girdle cell and things like that. So it's just really good. It's good for everybody. Great for kids. Great for kids.
Absolutely, it really is. Andy, we know from putting on the 304 the last couple of years how much work goes into putting into an event and trying to make sure that it's a success. But I don't think a lot of people that come to that kind of thing realize just how much work goes into what you do, what we do, what everybody does that puts on an event. So is there any piece of advice you could give to anybody that coming to an event to try to take away and think about how much went into this?
Yeah. Well, it's funny too, because everybody says it looks like, it's easy, blah, 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 but there's a lot of people involved, or sometimes not. I've found when I was running the Shenandoah, it was like I was doing it, but when it ended in October, by November, I had most of it done for the next year. You get all the permits in line. We usually get a 5-year permit. So just make sure that's good. Get the routes ready to go. The lunch ladies always call because they have to reserve. So you always took care of that. And so now, we have a few more people involved. So one guy will handle this, one guy will handle that. But our problem is trying to get the route right, because you never know if something's going to be closed. Or like with what was going on with the power lines and that company where they started shutting things down. It was going to be 6 months, and then it was 2 years.
Yeah,
that's the issue, right? With the routes, and you got to get that through the Forest Service and get that approved, and then you got to start with the vendors. You got to figure out the meals, the costs. What really gets me though, I go to a lot of these rides. You pay $150 and you get a sandwich or something at lunch. When you come to our ride, we get chicken dinner. Lunch. It's a big lunch. I think it's a lot, but we pay a lot of money for that. We charge not a lot of money for our ride, and we have people complain about our ride, the cost. And that's when I look at these, but you're sitting on $150,000 right there at the campsite and a $10,000 bike, and you're complaining about like $140.
It's really funny when somebody has got a $80,000 camper wants to suddenly get tight with money. But maybe it's because they're not making payments on it. But we try to do the same thing. We try to offer a lot of value, because it seems like a lot of these events, especially ones that trend more towards like adventure riding, you pay a pretty significant amount of money in exchange for a GPX route and a sandwich.
That's true. That we tried that one year. I was a big proponent of that. I said, listen, we actually one year we had breakfast, lunch on the trail, and dinner. Then the next morning, breakfast at the campground. We paid Schaefer Barbecue to come out of Woodstock. It was great. It was a great meal. It was easy. I think we only charged maybe $160 that year for the ride, and we're paying $20 a meal at lunch. And then we're paying Schaefer at least $20 a meal. So by the time we add it up, basically, yes, we're a nonprofit, but it cuts into the money that we can give to someone that really needs it, not just for this food. But we had people that we made it, like a buffet. They wanted to go up 2 or 3 times. Like, wait a minute, you paid for the meal. And I'll stop them. And, so I didn't really want to have to do that. So then we talked about it too. It's like, we really don't make any money doing this, and we have to deal with all these people. Let them go back to cooking their own stuff and just do our lunches on the trail. It's easier because we're not in the food business. So it just makes it a lot easier. So that kind of took that load off. But like I said, it's hard for anybody to really understand what it takes to put a ride on unless you actually have to put the ride on, and figure out all the little things that come with that ride and what other people are going to need or want. Like our sweep, I sweep. I roll through there, and we have trucks usually sitting at every out point in a trailer to haul somebody out of there and get them back to camp, get their bike back. And that takes a lot of coordination. Adam usually takes care of that. So we have the ham crew out there with their radios. So everybody's talking. They know if someone's hurt, you can get a rescue team out to them. So just things like that, takes people a time to do. And then you have to put the placements of those people when you figure out your route. And then you have to make sure that radio works from that place. It's just there's just so much that goes to it, and I really don't think I never realized it until I did it.
Yeah, we had no idea either until we actually started getting in the weeds of it. People will, I guess I'll toot our own horn. People rightfully talk about how good of a ride it was, come up to us and rave about it and everything. But by that time, we've probably ridden it 5-6 times. I mean, to us, we're bored with it and want to ride something different. But that's the ideal thing is just be able to show up to somebody else's ride and just go ride.
Right. Yeah, that is the ideal thing. It really is.
But I mean, it's really rewarding to put on an event. It's definitely been worth it. For FDSR.
Yeah, it's taken a while to work out all the kinks and the bugs, but I think we finally kind of have done that. And like you said, man, it's just there's so much that goes into it that I don't think people realize. And maybe if they would sit back and realize just how much work went into this, they might appreciate it a little bit more.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's just they're not thinking that way. They're there to have fun. They're riding with their buddies, and actually, that's if you really look at it, the way I always thought, well, it's kind of our job. If we're putting the ride on, we got to make sure everybody can just come here and have a good time. It's not for them really to think about anything. Just get your campsite, bring your food, do whatever you're going to do, enjoy yourself. Here's the route. Try to make it as user friendly as you can.
Yep.
A lot of guys want to go to GPS routes. I'm okay with that sometimes, but I really think trail markings are still the way to go. It might be kind of old school, but follow the
trail markings, roll charts.
Yeah, we follow the same thought process. But the main issue for us, though, like with the Saturdays hard loops, we go through so many private property sections where we only have access to that property that day. We can't put out a GPX file because I don't have a bunch of people from different states coming in here. Oh yeah, we rode that last year. Let's go ride through there again. Where you're going to be trespassing on that guy's property.
Yep, so, exactly.
Yeah, Sunday's easy loop. It's a little different because it's just all county roads and people can go ride that whenever. But I'm a huge fan of marking, and that's another thing. The roll charts. I'd never used a roll chart ever in my life till we went and did your event. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Yeah, we're gonna implement this with us as well.
Well, a couple of things with the roll chart too. I want to change, and a lot of different clubs do it this way too. A lot of times you have a running mileage. I think at every reset you just zero back to zero and put a number.
What we do.
Right. So it's a lot easier to follow. If you're lost, all you have to do is look at whatever the letter is or the number, go to that, continue on.
Yeah.
The other thing, like I said, with GPS, when it gets sent out, it's sent out to their buddies and everybody else that's not paying for the ride. We get a lot of poachers who try to come in by line. I mean, that happened for years. You're just paying for things that people never paid for the ride. So they think it's a game, good for you. But my point is that if you that cheap, you're not going to pay because the money goes to the community. Basically, that's what it's about. But you're sending out these routes. And Don, the old guy, he hates these guys that want to send these routes out. Because we did a lot of work to make this route work to get this mileage. So we've been out there 3-4 times. Like you said, you ride it 5 times. Then you have to go ride it again. And we do all of this, and it's for the people that paid, and just this is what it's for. This is the event. But it's the mentality of some people. It's just like the guys that are running around poaching hiking trails. We get calls over here in Taskers. They're riding Massanutten Trail. They're running over hikers. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, why would they even be on that trail? They shouldn't be on that trail, but they see it and they go on it. It's just some people's mentality that just the way it's going to be. But yeah, so we just try to fight that. And like I said, I agree with the arrows and the ribbons or something, and just go that route. And then the sweep crew cleans it as they go, and you're pretty much done with that section.
Yep, that's great. Anything else, Trevor, you got for him?
Not really. We've touched on the bulk of the topics that I wanted to learn more about.
Okay. Andy, anybody you want to personally thank that's helped you guys out with the club or doing all your events?
Oh, I mean the like the guys that got us into riding. Mark Spence owned MFI. John Ross, Shenandoah Honda, Ride on Moto. Those guys were big. They helped us out a lot with bikes and parts and things like that. The club guys, Don Kirkpatrick, can't say enough about Don. Like I said, he showed me so much stuff, and I don't know how much bitching he had to do with me. I mean, just he's one of those guys that. No, the arrow doesn't go like that on the tree. It's got to be bent because if the wind catches it or the rain hits it, it doesn't fold up. Okay. This is at 5:30 in the morning in the dark. I'm riding through rocks. And, it's like with this little tiny headlight on a CR250. Just enough to get me through an enduro that I don't need a light for.
Yeah.
But yeah, Don, Joe Epperson, he showed us a lot of stuff with timekeeping. Spence was big on that too. That owned MFI. He was a 6-day guy, rode for John at Shenandoah Honda. Fast guy, willing to help, show you how to do things. I remember the first bikes we bought from him. Guy probably bought 25 bikes from the guy when he had a shop. The CRs, and I rode one day, and I brought it back to the shop. He said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Whatever you do to that bike for you, do it for me." He goes, "It'll cost a lot of money. You don't need that, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Just do it for me." So he did. What a world of difference, once I realized what it was. So he was a really big factor, in riding. So pretty much, and I got to thank my dad for just showing me how to go fast on something, and telling me to pin it and you'll be fine. You'll be okay. So just go. So yeah, those are the best, people I could say that, because I've been riding really not that long. Riding with my son. Both my sons. My youngest son rides. He likes going out on big bikes, so and he rides the woods and stuff. But they're all busy now. They're all grown. Youngest is 27. The oldest is 37. Yeah. So, that's good. But it's fun. Now I got grandkids coming up, so it should be fun with them.
Oh yeah, my kids are starting into it now too, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Andy, we really appreciate. What's that?
No, I was gonna say you guys need to come down and ride down here with me too sometime.
For sure.
We definitely like to make it out.
I think I did see your name on the sign-up sheet for the 304 detour. Are you coming up to ride?
I don't know if I'm on it or not. I was going to ask you if I'm not. I'd like to get on it if you got a spot.
I'm pretty sure you are. I think so. So, yeah.
Well,
I'll double check that with you, but I think you are. I'm pretty sure.
It'd be great to meet in person.
Yep.
Continue to share stories and learn some more.
Yep.
Definitely. No, I really appreciate you guys, having me on. And let's say with the club, can't really say enough about it. Anybody joining a motorcycle club like that or any kind of enduro club, great. Bring your families, and everybody's so cohesive and just a good group of people. And you meet a lot of great people. We traveled all over the country and met, some people I would have, Drew Smith, Jack Penton, Dick Burleson, those kind of guys you'd never meet in a million years. You read about them as a kid, and now you're standing there talking to them, about things that you love to do. So yeah, a lot of fun. And like I said, you can't say enough about a good club too. If you can get in a good club and run a good bunch of guys that like to ride, it's a good time. So,
awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. We appreciate you coming on tonight, and I'm sure this won't be the last time we'll talk to each other.
Well, sounds good. I hope to see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir. We'll see you, man. Thank you.
Well, take care. Thank you.
Yep. That was great. All right, let's move on to a couple other things here at the end of the program. In an effort for us to stand out and be above the crowd a little bit, I think it was high time we sat down and we were like, what, let's do some products. We're gonna introduce some stuff to hopefully help you guys out and like we said, stand apart. Now we had to jump on the bandwagon of one of the most popular TikTok sensations going on
for better
right now.
or worse.
Introducing Hawk 201. This is a personal lubricant spray you can use for a variety of issues or problems in your motorcycle.
Wheel bearings, swing arm bearings, pivot bearings, chains.
What have you.
Yeah, anything else.
And so this is going to be our advertisement, and there's the can. So Hawk 2 and spit on that thing.
Move over, Maxima SC1.
Just a funny thing there. One more thing here. Now this is on a completely different end of the spectrum. I was scrolling through Facebook there. It's last week, I think it was, and I saw something that really hit home and caught my eye that I wanted to share with all of you guys. And here we go. So this is a young gentleman who is currently battling a brain cancer, and he is down at St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and a lot of great things happen down there. And the kids ask for a lot of different stuff, but this young man, being a moto guy, is simply asking for stickers. He wants some motorcycle stickers to add to his collection. You can see here. Here's another one of him adding onto his board, and it's been such a huge hit and success.
It's really
so
taken
far.
off.
That's his fourth and fifth board that he's done so far. So us here at FTSR and at Tallboys and Trackmasters are definitely going to send the young man some stickers his way. If you guys would like to do that as well, I'm going to put this up. His name is Fisher Melder, and his address currently is 1811 Poplar Avenue, room 225, Memphis, Tennessee, 38104. And I will also share this on the group page, so you guys can send your stickers down to Fisher, and wish you all the luck, buddy. And we're all pulling for you. We're all praying for you. Really cool thing, I think, to try to brighten somebody's day. So
Yeah,
we'll
I agree.
definitely send some stickers his way. We did have one comment here from Greg Blakey. It says, Andy, I've ridden the most recent fall and spring rides at Eagle Bay. I'm definitely interested in doing some gnarly riding with you guys. Well, we'll get you guys hooked up, especially if Andy does get a chance to come up and ride with us. Well, I think last and certainly not least, we got to finish it off with a little Had to Lay Her Down.
Did you run into some clippings? Did Barb take the kids? Well, Hoss, maybe you had to lay her down.
Trevor, I can think of very few situations where my butt puckers as much as when you start getting a little swap back and forth.
Once the rear tires start swapping back and forth, and you can tell that it just keeps getting worse. There's few worse feelings of helplessness when you're on a bike.
We'll let this one play out.
At least you did it on stand, because if you did it here, you'd be rocks, trees. You'd be getting
You'd be hurting pretty
up.
bad.
Yeah,
You'd hurt pretty bad.
or you wouldn't be hurting at all.
Yeah, maybe you just don't even feel it anymore.
Yeah,
You just paralyzed from the neck down.
quick.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this evening. We appreciate everybody tuning in and commenting, and special thanks to Andy for coming on and talking with us. 2 weeks from now, we'll be back on. I think that's the week of the 304 Detour. We have Brad McFadden from Last Adventures joining the channel. Be excited to talk to him. And anything else, Trevor?
I have nothing to add for now.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. And as always, we'll catch you 2 Tuesdays from now.